Hey, Talking Cars fans. We're making plans for our 4th of July episode, and we want to hear from you. So we want to know, what does it mean for a car to be considered American? Does it have to be built here, come from a company based in the US? And what do you consider to be the most American vehicle of all time? Email or text a video to talkingcars@icloud.com and give us your definition of what it means for a car to be American and what you think is the most epic, iconic American car ever. We're going to choose our favorite responses and include them in the podcast. That's talkingcars@icloud.com. Now, on to the show.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back. I'm John Lincove.
I'm Ryan Pidlakowski.
And I'm Mike Monticello.
So we're going to jump into our car of the week, which is one you may think you've seen around, but you probably haven't, but it looks so similar to the regular version, you might have seen it. If that's not clear enough, it's the Genesis G80 EV, a fully electric Genesis G80 sedan. It looks so much like the regular Genesis that when we rented one from Genesis, I asked, why are we renting a regular Genesis? We just tested it.
It looks identical.
It looks identical. Mike, you have the specs on it because as an electric vehicle, it has totally different powertrain.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm going to have to correct you on something. You're already wrong. We had a meeting with the Genesis folks, and they said the correct name is the Genesis Electrified G80. And we were like, you're not really going to call it that, right? You're going to call it the G80 EV. And they're like, no, its official name is the Electrified G80.
Not to be confused with the electric slide G80.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, good.
Waka, waka, waka. It's a strange name, but you're absolutely correct. And it doesn't say that, on the back of the car. It does not say Electrified G80.
It doesn't say anything about EV on it, does it?
No,
nowhere.
And so the specs on it are 365 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque. And if you compare that to the G80 with the 3.5-liter turbo V6, that one has 375 horsepower, but only 391 pound-feet of torque. So again, the electric motors really help this thing out.
Yeah,
and that's why it has this awesome acceleration. I mean, not that the turbo V6 doesn't have awesome acceleration, but this one has the usual electric vehicle, super smooth off the line and immediate, because it can give you all of that 516 pound-feet of torque right now, whereas an internal combustion engine can't do that. It has to ramp up to its power. So so that's really cool.
The car is not out for sale yet. It's coming. It's It's going to be a 2023 model.
Correct.
Right now, some of the language out there on it is that it has a one-time charging mileage of 427 kilometers, which works out to about 265 miles. So not a massive distance, but not sure that a car like this needs 300, 400, or 500 miles. I mean, this is the kind of car that has a button on the front passenger seat so that you could push it forward so it could be a limo, a smaller limo than the bigger G90.
Right.
Which is more of like a round town car, to the airport type of car. So do you think it needs 300, 400 miles?
Ryan thinks every EV.
Yeah, I think they all need to have 700-800
worried.
miles of range.
It needs 1,000 pounds of feet of torque, in crab mode, right?
Yeah. No, first of all, I think it needs more range. 265 miles, that's not bad, but it needs to be over 3. Okay. I think.
Let me ask Monty.
So I mean, that's a little bit short on the mileage, I would think, especially for a modern EV. I also want to say that you might think that they just slapped some electric motors in there and a battery, but they told us that this generation of the G80 was designed from the outset that it would be able to be an EV. So, and I think that's one of the reasons why it works so well. Other than the only true downside, besides the fact that you have to charge it, and that is a downside, right? On a trip, you're going to have to recharge it. It's going to, it's not like a 3-minute gas fill up.
Sure.
The only other real downside that we saw was that it has quite a bit less trunk space. There's kind of a big hump back there, related to the battery and other electrical components like that. But beyond that, it looks just like the regular G80. Drives almost the same as the G80. The only exterior difference is obviously you've got this charge port hidden in the front grille, so you're not even going to see that.
It's hard to if you do
kinda
not
need to know where it is.
Where it is. It was
me a minute.
I took it home one night and no one was around to tell me where it was, and I had to YouTube it.
Yeah.
I mean,
It has a unique rear bumper because there's no need for exhaust tips, right?
Bottom, yeah.
Obviously, it doesn't have a panoramic sunroof. You can't get it, and then it has unique wheels to the EV.
Yeah, well, the front grille, aside from the charge port in the grill is, it looks like, the gas counterpart, but it doesn't have whole slots in the grill. It's actually like plastic for like aerodynamics.
yeah, no radiator.
Right, they don't need all that.
It doesn't
They don't
need
need
that.
all the air to go in.
Right, but they made it look very like, at a quick glance
Yeah.
from 15 yards away, you wouldn't. I didn't know. Like when it first came, I said, "Why do we have another?" And we had a bunch of G80s at one point.
We had
like,
a G80, a G90, and then they dropped
like what do
one.
we need
Yeah.
this thing again for? And it turned out to be electric. And then I think even in the scrum one morning, we were like, "Is that a hybrid? Is that EV? What is that thing?" Like,
I think that's one of the cool things
but that's
about it, though.
exactly why I love it. It looks like a regular car, and that to
It's
me,
not screaming EV. right?
if I were to own an EV, I would want it to look like a normal car. I love a big luxury sedan. I like the looks of that, right? And the G80 is a fantastic sedan on its own, the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
And now this is just an electric version. Yeah, it needs more range, and infotainment still got that a little bit of a iffy system in there.
Yeah, with the screen that pops up.
Yeah, it
and
gets a little
swipes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's not the easiest, but aside from that, it drives fantastic. It looks great, but it needs more. I think it needs more range because it's a decent sized car. You could live with it every day, do a bunch of stuff with it, take it on trips. It's a comfortable car, but where are you going with 250, 60, 70
Yeah,
miles?
it's on the trip. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Everyday use, no problem.
Right.
Assuming you charge at home, no
Yeah.
problem. But on the trips is when you're going to have that EV issue.
How does it drive, in your opinion, compared to the regular one?
Well, I think the acceleration is great.
Yep.
I mean, like we said, it's immediate. It's smooth. It shoves you back into the seat. And that part feels great. The handling, I think, is a little less responsive than the regular G80, especially compared to the one we tested, which is the 2.5 turbo. So it's a lighter car. This thing's heavier. You feel that a little bit, but it still does just fine through the corners. I thought the ride felt the same to me as the regular one. So the only other thing is the brakes. As long as you don't switch it, it has this. You can change the setting to sport braking for some reason, and if you change it to that, it gets a little bit grabby at lower speed stuff. But if you keep it in its regular setting, it's fine. And then like other Hyundai and Kia products, it has. You can adjust the regenerative braking with the paddles, which I just think is so cool because this means you don't have to go into a screen to change it. If you want, you can have it on zero regen where it's basically coasting like a regular car, or you hit the left paddle and it goes to level 1, then level 2, level 3, and then level 4 is actually called I-pedal, and that means that's the maximum regen brake. And that when you let off the accelerator pedal, it's gonna brake the car. It takes about a second. You let off about a second, and then it starts aggressively doing the regen.
It's what others call like a one pedal drive.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool and then if you're like, oh, that's too much, just hit the right paddle, and now you're back to level 3 or level 2. And you can change it anytime you want.
Traffic or something like
It's
that.
like everyone should do that.
Yeah, when I'm coasting down hills, I like playing with that. I'll just like make it more aggressive to slow down more depending on the hills, and you can watch how much energy you're getting back. It's kind of like a game. It's kind of fun.
I mean, I think it's nice, Genesis being the luxury brand of Hyundai and the Hyundai Kia, but Hyundai's the overall manufacturer.
Yep.
They didn't change that aspect to make it special for the luxury version. Right. This one is a button instead of a pad. It's very simple and straightforward.
Yeah.
So Ryan, what do you think about just living with it, driving with it? Did you fit in it as well? Because there's a little change in the floor pan, height and such.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about it earlier. This was designed originally they had that idea, right? Like, so you take a Tesla for instance. They built a car around a battery, where some of the early EVs it was a car that was already built and they stuffed a battery in it, so you had minimal range. It was awkward. It didn't handle right. But when you build a car around that idea, you end up with a better setup. But I will say, the floor is a little bit a little higher inside. And I felt like I was a little bit closer to the ceiling, which I was even in the regular G80. I'm a little bit, the headroom isn't plentiful, but it's enough. I felt a little bit more snug because of that. Other than that, though, I thought it was fantastic. I mean, I really enjoyed driving it. It's just a well, the regular G80 is quiet. This thing is even quieter.
Yes,
I mean, it's unbelievable. It rides well.
No
it handles,
weird EV noises. You
No,
know, some
it doesn't.
EVs make just the whining,
Yeah,
and it seems a little bit excessive.
Very-
This one,
very
there's
minimal. I
almost
don't-
nothing.
yeah.
And so so you notice some wind noise on the highway, but that's because you're not hearing any powertrain noises.
but it's quiet.
Really quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I thought, sorry, I just thought in general, I was like, this is awesome. If you could get more range out of this type of a look, and it would be fantastic. But
Yeah, I mean, I'm luckily I have a charger in my house, so I felt comfortable enough just knowing I'd get back, I'd be able to charge it up.
Right.
And luckily I parked it the right way. So with that,
yeah, you would have backed in normally, right?
Yeah, or something like that. I mean, you never know with EVs if it'll reach, but I liked it a lot. I mean, just driving around, it's still it's a big car. It doesn't feel totally big, because I think you guys know some of the areas are like the roads have become narrow with a lot of construction, and you can thread it through just like the regular one. I agree, handling's like a little.
You can feel its weight.
You can feel it's a little heavier. It feels a little bigger, but not sloppy.
No, not at all.
So two questions on this car. So we don't recommend the G80, the regular gas G80, because of reliability issues.
Such a bummer.
Yeah. Would you the reliability issues aren't drivetrain related, however. So would you take the risk on buying this, knowing that swapping out the drivetrain won't necessarily immediately address the reliability issues? Because actually the drivetrain of the gas version is fine in our reliability.
Yeah, it was climate system, in-car electronics, and power equipment are the issues with the regular G80. So you can still have those exact same issues with this G80 EV.
As not being a bespoke EV like the Kia EV6 or the Hyundai Ioniq 5, where they're only that model. Would they give you pause? Well, the range is for you.
The range, and like if I can, I mean, this isn't it's not a cheap car. Okay. Right. If I could swing even that to pay, buy one of these cars, that car is going to do everything. I'm going to go road trips with it. I'm going to do, and I don't see the EV aspect working for me.
Yeah, so that was going to be the other.
Yeah.
So kind of combining. Would you, if you had the money, would you buy the EV, the V8, the gas, or the EV, and would reliability hold you back or not?
The reliability would give me pause. Let's put it that way. But I'm not sure that it would necessarily, because it's such a nice car. Yeah. Whether gas engine or turbo 4 gas engine, turbo 6 gas engine, and this EV, such a nice car. I would still definitely consider it. I would be a little worried about the reliability. I might wait even another year, see if they can work some of the bugs out, because they should be able to. Sure. And then, so when we get the next round of survey data, hopefully we're going to see that the G80 is back with good reliability in those areas. Yeah. And then, I'm still on the fence about EVs. I don't have a charger yet at home. I should get one, no question about that, and that could make things different. But the trip issue is going to be an issue for now until the EV infrastructure gets a lot better. So something needs to be done about that, and we need them to be able to charge even faster. This has 400 volt and 800 volt ability. But you're still looking at, when you're doing 400 volt, it's still gonna, you're going from 10 to 80, percent charge. It's not like it's 30 minutes. It's longer than that. Yeah. So it's over an hour. Yeah. So this is not that, and that's just so different than going to a gas station. So we're gonna have to wrap our heads around that. But also the manufacturers need to keep improving this technology, and the infrastructure, as far as charging these things, needs to get so much better before I would buy an EV personally.
Yeah, I think infrastructure, even just generation, there's still a lot of questions. Hybrids.
Yeah.
Hybrids.
And plug-in
hybrids. It makes sense.
Plug-in hybrids. Yeah.
They do.
Well, so go to Consumer Reports. So there's more, because we have more information.
Electrified G80.
Genesis Electrified G80. And you will get to our content on that. Anyhow, that's going to bring us to our next segment, which is where we answer audience questions. As always, the audience questions don't come from us. They come from you. TalkingCars@iCloud.com. Send us your video questions, send us your text questions, but please just send us your questions. We have one from Tim from New England who says, I love my 2010 Mazda 3, but have decided, for environmental reasons, that once it died, I'd replace it with a relatively affordable used EV. Imagine my disappointment on receiving CR's Cars issue and learning that both the Chevrolet Bolt and Hyundai Kona Electric are no longer recommended. What's one to do? Are there any reliable EVs with a 200-plus mile range to be had for under $30,000? Or do I have to reconcile myself to a Prius Prime? So we didn't tell each other what we were going to suggest, as we used to do. Mike.
Oh,
let me go. I want to go last because I'm just going to upset. I'm not upset. I'm going to upset everybody.
He put the pressure on me. So
Mike, what do you suggest for Tim from New England?
Yes. So
he doesn't tell us where in New England. That's the one
Right.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big area.
So here's what I would say. Go for the very related product. Is this your choice? The Kia Niro EV, because the 2019 has strong reliability, good owner sat. 2020 strong reliability, average owner satisfaction. I'm sorry, folks, just to be clear on our survey stuff.
From our survey,
this all reliability data and owner satisfaction all comes from our yearly surveys that we do
Of Consumer Reports
members. Yeah. So you've got this thing that is very similar to the Kona, except it's a Kia Niro, and it has a 239 mile estimated driving range by the EPA. Mm-hmm. So that's what I would suggest. The only caveat is, we all know the used car prices have gotten a little crazy. And what with the global supply chain issues and everything that are affecting new cars. So now used cars are in short supply and the prices are going up. So it's going to be hard to find one at that sub $30,000 range, but you should be able to find one in the $34,000 or so range. So you have to go a little over.
Aha!
You know something I don't?
I went to consumerreports.org and searched on cars in the area. Now, New England, using Boston as the zip code, they didn't have a lot right immediately there. But 500 miles away, there's a lot in the Virginia area right now,
Okay.
Delmarva Peninsula area, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia. Lower prices, under $30,000,
Really?
some of them. Now, they have high miles.
Right.
That's the one thing. You're going to be out of warranty. Nobody's business. But yeah, a lot of options. Now, I agree.
There you go.
I agree. There are a lot closer here that are high priced, totally.
Right.
But you can hunt if you want to travel a little bit.
So it's possible. So you're saying there's a chance.
There's a chance. There's a chance, just like dating. There's always a chance. Okay, you're going last. So
you go next.
I was going to say the same car.
Okay.
I can't. I mean,
It's a good car. It's a good car. It makes sense. It is easy to use. The controls aren't all wackadoodle.
No.
So yeah.
Yeah. What can I say? I think Kia Niro EV. So Ryan,
That is a good choice.
no, you can't get away with saying the same thing.
Well, no, because I'm not going to say an EV. I'm going to say Prius Prime. Don't get stranded or worry about battery life. You can plug it in when you want to. Super reliable Prius. Good old Prius. I wish we could ask questions back, because is this his only? I have questions. Is this his only car?
Right.
Where does he? Where does he live? I mean, the cold is EV's probably second worst nightmare, right?
Yeah,
so it's I don't know. I'd have a hard time if that was my only vehicle. Saying that, going with a straight EV, I would have a hard time.
In a 2010 Mazda 3, unless he's just drives it into the ground and he's got 250,000 miles on it and it's on its last legs. Maybe he's got another 5 years. And in 5 years,
if you cut the mileage down too with another car, so you can be a secondary.
Well, he said once it dies.
But I'm saying once it dies.
Does he mean that it's going to die, or it already has died?
Well, yeah. Is he rubbing?
So maybe we start a new segment where we ask questions back to the audience, and then they.
I think we should.
To us.
I want answers.
I want answers.
Yeah. CR wants answers. That's the new Talking Car segment.
Ryan wants the truth. But look, the 2020 Chevy Bolt is an option. We don't recommend the Bolt,
right?
Overall, because of a number of years have had well below average reliability, and we yanked a couple of the used car suggestions because of the recall and the stop sale, and they said park your Bolt, and now that there's a software update, they're not having fires.
That's good.
Yeah, that's a good thing. But the 2020 Bolt has above average reliability, so you can get that model year.
Right.
That's certainly a good model year. But the Niro is just has better reliability, and I do agree. The Prius Prime, if you're concerned about
reliability,
rock solid.
And it's like that nice go between, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like your EV primer in a sense, and Prius Prime. But I mean, if you go from a gas car to a plug-in hybrid, now you get to see what's that like, because you're going to get some EV only range.
Right.
You're going to see how much of a pain do you think it is that to plug it in.
Yeah. And gas isn't going away tomorrow. They're not building. Some companies may not be building after a certain year developing any new, but there still will be internal combustion engines, and there will still be gasoline because there's huge selection of gasoline cars still there. So yeah, you could go with a hybrid like that and be happy for another 10 years.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, so we solved Tim's quandary. Tim, let us know so we could talk back and forth, do that thing and make Ryan happy. Yeah. As always, send us your questions, talkingcars@icloud.com. Thanks for joining us here in the studio again. We'll see you next time.